Right now, there is a notorious scratch DJ in the house, won numerous battles, especially across the Fader Astro battle. When you think of main corporations in the DJ realm, Rane, BPM Supreme, DJ City, she's done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Patty Clover, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, FJ.
Of course. So yeah, how did you start DJing? Were you a pianist first?
Yes, I was a pianist when I was around 7 to 9 years old. I was playing the piano, and then I got inspired by house music, like Tiesto, Paul Van Dyke, Paul Oakenfold, and I wanted to do a storyline like how they presented at the raves. So at first, I was interested in production, but production is pretty expensive. So I thought my best route is to learn how to mix and play at the clubs or the bars. So I didn't know about Astro until I was 19 years old. I had a friend that I went to middle school with. I met up with him way later in college. He told me he was taking classes at Astro. So I started taking classes at Astro, and 2 weeks in, that same friend told me, why don't you join the battles? And I'm like, I just started taking classes. I just started learning how to mix. And my instructor, Davey Rocket, he introduced me to scratching and beat juggling. So I had no idea about that
Wow.
before Astro. I just knew that it was mixing because, Tiesto, he's just there mixing on the turntables. So after that, I said, yeah, I guess I'll join the battle since it's here in this place. Why not? And after that first battle, it was horrible to me. And I didn't want to be looked at like, hey, it was that girl who put that really bad house mix together. And she got, it was at the time Power 106 DJs who were the judges.
Wow.
And they actually passed me on to the next round. So I was like, okay, you want me for the next round? I'm not going to be like how I was on the first round, that horrible. I'm going to better myself. And so that's what I've been doing ever since then. Every battle I go into, I try to better myself than the last one.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you got to meet Tiesto one time at DJ City, right?
No, Tiesto, no. No.
Never yet. Gotcha.
No, never. No, Tiesto is one of those big house heads.
Yeah.
He's like probably most of the time in Miami or Europe.
Right,
I
right.
don't know that, but he's or Las Vegas. Hockey Suns or something like that. So is it
Gotcha.
Hockey Suns? I believe I forgot. It's one of those really expensive clubs. Like no, I haven't been around that circuit of DJs, but like if one day that could happen, that would be dope. I don't
Yeah,
know how, but that would be dope.
yeah. I guess I just saw a video of DJ City like scratching, and then you were in one of the videos that had him in there. So I guess I assumed that you guys met. But
Oh no.
yeah. Um, are you still affiliated with Rane?
No. I was in 2014, and the president, he retired.
Mm.
After he retired, what do you call it? He's called the middleman. I used to call him Power Ranger, but that wasn't his real name. He went on to do something else. So those were the two connections I had at Rane closely. So since they left, I haven't had any close connections.
Mm,
I went off a different way.
gotcha. It's still cool to say that you were a part of that though, um,
Yeah.
in the company.
And the reason why I was close with Rane was because they came to the Astro battles. They came to
Oh,
sponsor their equipment. So that's how I met with the rep and the president.
hmm, that's amazing. Wow. What's your most memorable product that you've got from them?
Oh, the Rane 57.
Yeah, yeah.
They brought me onto the Rane family. They just said like, "Hey, can you do a showcase with DJ Shorty? Do you know DJ Shorty?"
Yeah, of course. Oh
So
my,
I had a showcase with her at PSSL, and after the showcase, they said, Patty, we got a mixer for you because we want you to be part of the Rane family. And in that way, I saw that like it was kind of like it was a sad moment because I knew that the president was leaving,
Mm.
and I was just like, I don't know, it felt like we're gonna introduce to you like like we're gonna put you in the Rane family, but we're gonna leave was the feeling.
Oh no.
And so it was just kind of like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fell through the cracks type of feeling.
Got you.
Mhm. But it
Oh,
was nice I got a Rane 57, but it's just a mixer.
definitely. Yeah, and speaking to DJ Shorty, you've met like a whole bunch of like big people in the DJ industry, like the Beat Junkies, Jazzy Jeff. I saw all
Yeah.
those pictures. What's one of the best advice that you got from any of them?
I would say generally practice. Just keep practicing.
Mm,
That's what I even though the ones who aren't on like the battle scene or putting their stuff out there, everyone I hear from practice. And honestly, that's it. You have to keep practicing because if you don't, it's just like running. You're gonna lose your muscle.
yeah,
So
definitely.
you have to keep your endurance. So yeah, practice, and with practice comes more creativity.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's hard for I know you teach or you have taught. Have you do you still teach at the
Yeah,
Astro?
no, at Astro, no, I do independent lessons virtually. I will teach at Astro because I got a someone who wants me to teach them there, but I have to see how my schedule is in August,
Mm,
which is kind of close, but I'm not too sure yet.
right. Yeah, I was gonna say like teaching, it's hard to teach someone that doesn't have equipment because it takes
So,
consistency, you know. Like
mhm.
you can teach them on your equipment as long as you can. It's just they have to be with you like almost 24/7 because they don't have the
Yeah.
equipment, you know. And yeah, yeah, it's just hard that way.
You know what? When I started, what I loved about Astro was that they had all the equipment. They had so many different mixers. And what they told me the first day, as soon as you take classes here, you can keep practicing whenever you want. I mean, until the store closes, as
Right.
long as there's no other classes in session. And so I took that to the advantage. I didn't have equipment at home. I did, but they were turntables that weren't really turntables. It
Mm.
was like turntables. Every time I try to scratch on them, the needle will jump really high.
Ah, yeah.
But yeah, it's really good to be in a facility or a business that does provide equipment because it is hard, especially if you're at home. You get very distracted with so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Definitely.
you anyone who would be listening, like go to somewhere where you're in the zone with everybody else.
Exactly. Shout out to Astro for that too. That's amazing.
Yeah, Craig, thank you.
Yeah. Um, let's see. What's your motivation? Like what keeps you motivated? Because you've accomplished so much from like my point of view, you know, someone that's been watching you for a little while. What keeps you going?
Battles. It's kind of like a homework assignment for me. So if I have a battle coming up next week, I gotta get my stuff done because I don't want to fail the test.
Exactly. That's a good answer. Um, let's see. You did mention needle skipping, and you've done sets where you do only vinyl.
Hmm.
Has there been situations where you would try and scratch something and the needle just constantly jumps?
Yeah, and when that happens, I would adjust the caliber, whether it's the little slide knob or the weight. So for anyone having trouble, I would usually go on, you see this?
Hmm.
I would turn it all the way inside to keep it really heavy. And when I use vinyl, I have to be careful with that because if I go too heavy, the needle can dig into my vinyl, the
Mm,
real vinyl, and it can distort the record. because you're cutting it and the sound,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
vinyl grooves, they're very sensitive. So that's what I would do. I would put it all the way in, and sometimes neither that would work. And at one point, it actually cost me the championships, and that was Astro AVL's championships. I got second place because on my second set, I did an all vinyl routine, and I was juggling. It didn't want to stay. It kept jumping. It kept skipping. So that was the tough thing about real vinyl. You never know until you're actually at that point where you have to execute it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either a hit or a miss. And I missed it,
Yeah.
sadly.
It happens. It happens. I'm sure you killed it though. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So yeah, for people that don't know, nowadays I feel people, DJs use control vinyl more than actual vinyl. So control vinyl connects to your Serato, and the software connects to the needles through the mixer, and that's how we get our sound through just one vinyl. Um, what all vinyl set is you actually play with the crates that you bring around with the actual vinyl in them. So it's pretty cool that you can do both, because there's not a lot of DJs that can.
I'm kind of rusty though. I'm kind of
Yeah.
rusty on the vinyl. And with the vinyl, when you create a set, you have to keep practicing. Just like the regular Serato vinyl, you gotta get really. I feel like you gotta prepare a lot more with real vinyl, and not only in the routine you're doing, but also getting backup vinyl. So
Mm.
if you're doing a juggling set and you wear it out, you got to make sure you have that same music with two different vinyl. So
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. You have to carry it around. It's so crazy how DJs back in the day used to do it, because you would have to carry around all your equipment. Turntables are super heavy. Now we have, controllers that are half that weight. Um, you would come in vans and everything. It's just a lot of work. I
And
remember, yeah,
sorry, I was gonna say, what happens if it breaks too?
yeah, and you're screwed. Can't do anything. Yeah. But yeah, no, there was this DMC battle that I've seen a long time ago with DJ Qbert was doing it. And he had this set where he was scratching with the needle, but he was
Mhm.
actually holding the needle. So it was like ruining the record to the point where you can't use it at all. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
So I guess, yeah, it's just so creative how you can like, okay, I'm gonna save this record till this point, and then I'm gonna throw it away later. It's like,
He's like, he's like, I'm gonna draw on this record with the needle, see if I can get a masterpiece out of it.
exactly, exactly. I wonder what happened to that record. Honestly, I would love to have that record. But yeah. Let's see. One thing I notice with your sets that I see online is that you're always smiling and you're always having a good time. Um,
It's natural. Trust me,
it's
it's
natural.
natural. It comes out naturally.
Gotcha.
All the time. Even when I'm not playing the sets, they're like, "You're always smiling." I'm like, "I know." One day, when Halloween, I'm gonna be the Joker, and it'll be easy for me because he's always smiling.
Yeah, he's always
Oh.
smiling. But like, I find it awesome because, DJs that do sets online, and make videos on Instagram per se, um, that can take like a lot of tries and a lot of, repetition. So sometimes when I do it, I'm like, oh, I'm done with this routine. Like, I'm tired of these 15 tries. Like, it's cool to see you still hold a smile even after takes that. I don't know how many you do, but yeah.
I've done like 100 times before, and I still like. Well, the reason why is because when I do record or when I am there in person, I feel the energy, and I'm just happy if I see them happy, or I smile just to change the environment in the room. Like I want people to be happy when they watch my stuff. And
Mm,
even virtually that I can't see them, if I put on a good presentation, I'm going to try to do the best I can because I want them to have a good show.
yeah,
So that's why
that's amazing.
probably.
Yeah.
Thank you, but that's probably why I smile so much. I was like, I want you to be happy, you guys.
Yeah, we can definitely see it. Um, was hitting 1 million views on Facebook your biggest internet success?
hmm The Minnie Mouse sweater.
The Minnie Mouse. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, that was an amazing set too. That's
The all
crazy.
vinyl.
Yeah, and you were still going to school at that time, right?
Yeah, I was going to Cal State LA.
Gosh, it's so hard to multitask like your career as a DJ and going to school at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
It is, but you got through it.
Yeah, I graduated and I was like, I'm done. Now into the real world. But
Yeah.
I still got to DJ. I still, and you know what? It's good for me still. Like, no matter where I go to work, I mention because we have to present ourselves. Like, oh, what did he do before he got the job? I tell them my story, and every single time they tell me, "Wow, I didn't expect you to be a DJ." And you're a battle DJ. It's like, but you're always smiling. It's like usually they say like those DJs they're like very like tough.
Serious. Yeah.
Yeah, serious. And
Yeah.
they're like they didn't expect that, but it is a blessing that I got through it even though I went to school, finished that. Because in the end you make so many connections.
Mm, yeah,
So
definitely. Um, who do you look up to the most? Like, who's your biggest inspiration?
for battle wise, Rock Raider from the Executioners.
That's a good one.
I did a lot based on his movements because he was good on the presentation, how he showed himself, the body tricks and all. So I wanted to stand out in that way when it came to battles.
Mm,
Some
wow.
of the moves he's done I still can't do yet, but it's because I gotta practice them.
Yeah, shout out to Rob Raider, man. He's one of the goats, one of the legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still? When's the last time you visited the Institute of Sound?
Oh, before quarantine.
Yeah, it had to
Like how long ago was that? It's like right like a month or two before quarantine happened
be.
because um they have a ladies of sound that they host scratch events there.
Mm,
Honestly, I don't remember the last time. It was a couple months before quarantine.
yeah. Can you explain Ladies of Sound?
So Ladies of Sound is a community that allows DJs, not only the ladies, but they do allow men to come in and have scratch sessions.
Mm,
Um, they usually hold it at night between 8 and 10, and they have certain days where you can come in. I don't know if there is a fee. Sometimes there are fees, but sometimes they have those rare events that there aren't fees because they want to introduce the outside world to turntablism because many don't know still.
mm,
And they have been so great with just telling people on what it is, and even on social media they're very supportive. Sometimes I would post an event or like a virtual event that I'm doing and they would support in that way. So they really keep a good support system for all the ladies DJs out there. I don't know about the men, maybe they do that for the men too, but
mhm.
they're very humble people.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's amazing. For the people out there in LA, you should do it. Like uh, the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound. If you're out there, go check it out. If you're into DJing, do you remember the first time that you visited them?
I have to go back in my memory banks.
Oh, sorry about that.
um,
Yeah, because
I,
like Because when I went there for the first time, it was last year. It was for a DMC battle. They had this thing where you could go into their studio and practice, because you can't really practice, um, before the actual battle. So they had that event. Yeah, yeah. So they had that event in LA, and they're like, hey, all the contenders can stop by and practice in our studio for tomorrow. And this is like the first time I'm ever gonna meet DJ Babu, all of those guys. So I walk in, I was so tired, I was jet lagged. Um,
Oh, man.
yeah, I was jet lagged. I almost slept on the road, which is very bad. Don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
um,
No.
no, so it was like nighttime. I walk up, there's just this like bright light that says Institute of Sound, and I'm like, oh, this is it. So I walked in. Some guy greeted me. He was like, hey, um, how's it going? I'm like, hi, I'm DJ FJ. I'm competing in the DMC battle tomorrow. And then he was like, oh yeah, yeah, this is that. And then behind him, I see DJ Manuel scratching with DJ Babu. I'm like, uh, excuse me, I'm just
You're
gonna
right
go over
there.
here real quick. Yeah. And then so yeah, I just got to meet all of those guys. I see Shortcut just walking casually, like DJ D Styles is just like at his maestro table just doing whatever. I'm like, this is amazing. Like it was just such an experience in my life. But like I will always treasure that moment to meeting those humble people, because they really are humble.
Yeah, they really changed a lot in the DJ community, in the DJ scene in general, because a group of DJs that been together since the 90s, late 90s, and they just end up just agreeing to opening an institute to teach the rest that are the upcoming generation or of all ages in general, of like, hey, we want to give back to our community. And yeah, that's changed a lot, because before then, in that area, it was just Astro AVL, and that's a couple blocks down the street. Before, with Astro, the other institute was Scratch Academy in LA, and I believe that's it. Like, not many people had a variety to go to. And what makes the Beat Junkies different is that they have, they're not just all over the place. Scratch Academy, Astro, yeah, we provide controller lessons. We do so many aspects of DJing, but the Beat Junkies, they focus in on, we want you to do it the way on how we started, which is we want you to practice on all real vinyl first, and then we can go on to the controllers and everything else after. But you need to get the fundamentals down, which is great, because everyone needs to be at the same starting point to understand each other.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. And I see the after. I think they saw the aftermath of people starting out with technology first, you know, and
mm,
and they don't really appreciate the past and how it started. Like I feel with anybody, if you want to be great, you have to look in the past and how it started. See the history of your career and build from that. Um, Unfortunately, I was like a victim of starting with technology. So I still really am a little rusty with like all vinyl sets and stuff like that. But um, you just have to have that appreciation of the past and the history behind it.
but honestly, it is very hard when you do start on technology. It's hard to go back because you have so many songs in that computer. As to vinyl, you only select a few of what you find. And yeah, it's hard that our our ways of DJing is changing, but at a certain extent, we have to adapt to what's changing, because needles, you've heard of Shure, they're no longer in business. I mean, they still have a few leftover M44 sevens, but they discontinued it completely. Now the only needles is ortophones. Then you got mixars. I don't know how, not mixars, you got phase,
Yes.
phasers. So I honestly don't know if the phase works with all real vinyl. Do you know anything about that?
Like the vinyl with just
I
original
doubt
vinyl.
it. Yeah, I doubt it because yeah, it's like electronic.
Yeah, so it's basically like a mini controller. It turns your turntable into a controller. So you don't need needles anymore. It's just that phase is your needle. So
But would it work with the all real vinyl?
yeah,
Was
you can use all real vinyl. You just place it on top of the vinyl, but it does not play the sound that comes with the vinyl. It just plays the music from your Serato.
so you have to transfer it into
Mhm.
electronically into your laptop. See, that's the thing. Like it's technology is taking over and it's just getting harder to do the original old school. I mean, we're at that point in this time that um it's like we're slipping through the cracks. Anyone who's doing it right now will get the gist of how it was back then and how it is going to become in the future. But 20 years from now, it's going to be like cassettes.
Yeah,
There's no way of going back.
there's no
So
way. Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to see, but yeah, all we can do is just, keep real turntablism alive like you do. And you do it really well. You're on that stage where you can, influence all these young cats.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Especially me. Like I was like, oh my gosh, there's a there's a there's someone that appreciates turntablism still to this day, and she's a female DJ. Like this is like inspirational to the fullest. Um,
Thank you. Thank you,
of
FJ.
course. Yeah. Speaking of that, what do you think? What struggles do women go through that men don't in the DJ world?
Honestly, um, thank God I haven't noticed anything that would upset me. I feel that I've got a lot of support by men since the beginning. When I first started, it was all men who worked at Astro. And they would come in, they would give me ideas like, hey, you should make your battle set like this, the music selection. And as time went on, I got a lot of support by men. Yeah, there'll be those trolls that are like, oh, she's whack. She's like females can't DJ, but that's only online, and it was rarely in person. I never got any of that hate.
Mm.
I've heard that some women do go through hardships at the clubs because they want to play at a certain hour, but I haven't gotten that so far, and hopefully not later on. So I honestly can't say, I don't have the knowledge to say that it's hard being a female DJ because I
Mhm.
haven't been there yet. But so far, it's been good for me.
That's good. Yeah. Hopefully it stay that way, like you said.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Because I'm not gonna come back to you like, you know what, FJ, this is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. We could always have a catch up, But uh so yeah, being would you consider yourself a scratch DJ?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So many people know me by being a scratch DJ.
Mm. What would you say your favorite combination is?
Uh, the orbit, the crab. I'm working on the stabs, but the orbit and the crab. I
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, it's like you have a signature scratch. Like if you took out your visuals and just had your audio, you can tell that Patty Clover is scratching right now. Like you have that signature
I do.
sound. You do. You really do. You
Oh
can
man,
you could
I
ask.
need to do that.
Oh no, that's a good thing though. That's a good thing. You can ask anybody and be like, "Oh, that's a Patty Clover signature scratch. Like she's on the record right now." Um,
uh,
yeah, like
did not
uh,
know that.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a good thing. Um, usually, I like to start out with scratching with scratch DJs like me and you, but unfortunately, I'm not in my original environment. Um,
I know,
but yeah,
quarantine.
yeah. Next time we'll have a scratch battle, and we'll just go back and forth on that.
That
Um,
sounds good. What's
yeah.
your BPM? What's
Oh, that's a good question.
your
I love. I started out with 90s through 100. But I'm like right now I'm trying to do slow, like 70 BPM, like 130, you know.
It's
Uh,
hard.
oh yeah, it's hard to go from a different tempo. Uh,
Yeah.
what
Huh?
what's yours? What's your BPM?
At the same range, 90. My favorite's like 110, 115.
Mm,
But I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of the times, a lot of the big scratch heads that I know here in LA, when we get together for scratch sessions, there's one in particular DJ who always puts a slow beat, and I'm just like, why? Because
yeah,
I don't mean to be mean. Like I honor their production. Like I honor how they make the music, but it's just so slow.
yeah, you can't really scratch on it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it depends on where you start, you know. Like I'm like a lot of scratch DJs out here in Portland, they love that slow beat so they can like I guess it gives you more control over it from what I heard.
Yeah.
Um, it does, right? It's just
Uh-huh.
I just have a custom sound to the 90s to 105, you know. That's
Yes.
where I
I
started.
because it also builds on the hands. I believe it was Babu. I think it was Babu who told me, and other DJs, the best way to build skill is by with just your hand.
Hmm.
You scratch with just your hand, leave the fader alone, and try to go with the slow beats. And that way, when you go back to the fader, you'll be creating a masterpiece like that.
Wow.
So try to play around with the sound, going back and forth on the platter.
Mm, gotcha. I'll try that actually. Would you say you're uh, a good teacher?
Um, I think so. I mean, from so many I've taught,
Mm,
most of them has have told me that they learned something new today, and when they come back on,
mhm.
I see progression in them. Honestly, I'm hard on myself, so I can't say, oh yeah, I'm a good DJ, because
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking. I always just hope that they've got something from what I was teaching them.
Hmm.
And some of the times I can see the next lessons that we get back on, they have a way better understanding, and not just through telling me, but also showing me. So I would say I'm
Yeah.
okay teacher. I'm an okay teacher.
Well, that's
I don't
good.
want
Yeah.
to praise myself, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, this is actually like a personal question because I get a lot of people asking me all the time, like, "Hey, can you teach me how to DJ? Like, I want to know." And I'm not the best at it, you know. I, I just learned from watching videos, to be honest. And you know, I when it comes to like me physically being there with somebody, um, it's hard for me to break it down because I like I kind of know what I want you to do, but it's just hard for me to explain it. And I feel like I would always just resort to them watching a video that I'll send them, you know.
You know
'Cause-
what's the best way for you to teach them
mm,
is by writing it down before you have the lesson. If you're teaching them a scratch that you already know, just write down the steps of what you're doing. Okay, the first one, I I move the platter forward. That's the first step. Second step, I open the fader at the same time. Like just make a chart like that and just repeat it until you have the lesson. Usually it helps over time when you keep practicing, because yes, you still need to keep practicing on your own to fully understand what it is, the ins and outs, not only in scratching, but all the technical difficulties that can happen if the mixer doesn't work, if you're getting no sound on one side. Like all of that experience will translate into you educating someone, and
Mm,
it'll be easier because you're well aware of it.
yeah.
So it would be hard. It would be hard, like you learned off a YouTube video,
Mm.
and next week you have to teach someone on what you learned on a YouTube video the week before, you know?
Yeah.
It's
See, I should
different.
have learned from you. I should move down there to LA, just take lessons from you.
Well, hopefully when quarantine clears up a little bit more, because it's got more strict right now.
Oh, in
They're
LA?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're getting very strict with hanging out. So
uh-oh.
whenever you can come down, then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, either Astro.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think the best place would be like at the Beat Junkies. If they have another event, then I can show you a little bit there, because then you'll be around the heads that you want to talk to, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say like that would be the best time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Every time I'm in LA, I always think of the Beat Junkies. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully I see you down there, and but yeah, that was it. This was obviously an awesome interview. I love talking to you. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Hopefully we can meet in LA once this quarantine stuff goes away. And thank you so much for a dope interview. This was honestly awesome. I love talking to you. Yeah, hopefully have you a good rest of your day. Stay safe.
You too.
Thank you so much, Patty Clover. It was great to meet you. You're honestly an inspiration. This was an awesome interview. Like I said, I keep saying that, but I look up to you a lot, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You too. Don't stop practicing.
Of course not.